Exodia! Obliterate!
It's a scene etched into the minds of Yu-Gi-Oh fans worldwide, but Exodia's story goes far beyond that pivotal moment. From its origins in Egyptian mythology to its game-changing impact, Exodia holds secrets that even die-hard fans might not know. Are you ready to unlock the forbidden knowledge of one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most iconic monsters? Prepare yourself for 30 mind-blowing facts about Exodia that will change the way you see this game-changing monster forever. Can you handle the power of Exodia? Watch on to test your knowledge and uncover secrets that even the king of games might not know. Exodia's explosive entrance in the first episode of the anime, along with its unique win condition, made them the must-have cards for your deck from the very beginning of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. Exodia was one of the first cards printed in the Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon set in 2002, alongside legendary cards such as the Blue Eyes White Dragon, Dark Magician, and everyone's favorite meme, Pot of Greed, which we still don't know what it does almost 13 years later. Konami made obtaining the Exodia set even more impressive by making each card an ultra rare, which made tiny kids like me eager to pull a limb as much as picking a Blue Eyes or Dark Magician. Exodia The Forbidden One was one of the first 5 effect monsters to be released in the game. There were 5 effect monsters in total in that 2002 Legend of Blue Eyes set. The other 4 were Armed Ninja, allowing you to target one spell card on the field and destroy it, Man-Eater Bug, the classic card used by Bakura that you could target and destroy one monster on the field. There was also Hain, which could send one monster on the field back to its owner's hand, and then there was Reaper of the Cards, that targeted one trap card on the field and destroyed it. All very OP effects back in the day, but did you know that out of all 5 of these effect monsters, Exodia is the only one that doesn't have a flip effect? Exodia's instant win effect was very unique for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is that this is the first card set whose full effect can only be used if a set of cards is gathered in a player's hand. Did you know that Exodia the Forbidden One and the other Forbidden One cards were the only monsters ever explicitly stated in the rulebooks? This was because Exodia the Forbidden One was the only card that had an alternate victory condition at the time. Exodia the Forbidden One is no longer referenced in the rules because the card text provides enough information to explain its effect. This is the only card whose effect text includes the words victory or automatic. The text was later modified, as have all other victory condition cards, to you win the duel rather than automatic victory. Everyone loves a typo, right? Well, even Exodia fell victim to it, and in quite a funny way. In the Master Collection Volume 1 release of this card back in 2004, it had a typo that missed the letter R in your, which led to the text to read that you need all 5 pieces to be in you hand. I like that. This leads us nicely into Exodia the Forbidden One's Erratas. It has 4 in total. And in case you didn't know, errata are basically changes to any part of a card's text that happen between reprints. This is to fix things like mistakes or to update a card's terminology. Now, Exodia's original text read, an automatic victory that can be declared by the player whose hand contains this card together with the left leg, left arm, right arm of the Forbidden One. Its first errata came in its reprint in 2004's Dark Beginning 1 set, which read, when you have right leg of the Forbidden One, left leg of the Forbidden One, right arm of the Forbidden One, and left arm of the Forbidden One, in addition to this card in your hand, you win the duel. That was quite hard to say. The second errata was the mistake we mentioned earlier in 2004's Master Collection Volume 1 set. The third errata was an update to its print in the Legend of Blue Eyes set, fixing the mistake, which read the same as the Dark Beginning 1 print, and its final and fourth errata came in 2015's Premium Gold Return of the Bling set, which read the same as the first and third errata, but changed the wording of when you have to if you have. Did you know that this is the only card in the game that could result in a victory before either player's turn? Yeah, that's right. If one of the players draws all 5 pieces in their opening hand, they win before a single turn is even made. However, this is highly unlikely, but not impossible. In terms of chance, the odds of drawing all 5 pieces in your opening hand in a regular 40-card deck are as low as 0.000152%, which means it will only happen 1.5 times in every 1 million games. What's even scarier is that the odds are higher that you are more likely to be hit by lightning when drowning in the Atlantic Ocean. I probably feel like someone should have told Joey this in episode 3 before he dove after those cards. Now, if you have managed to pull off this feat, then let us all know in the comments, or just go out and buy yourself a lottery ticket or something, because god damn, what a feat. Back in the day, winning with Exodia was super hard, but you were the talk of the school if you pulled this off, and you were the talk of the school if you even had these cards, because if they were in your possession, well, they went straight into your deck with no regard to strategy, because why would you not put them in there? Like, do you remember how messed up and unplayable your decks were back then? Like, mine was filled with way too many cards. I had high attacking level 4 monsters, and then cards that I liked from the show, and I also had very situational cards just in case I ever needed them. Basically, zero balance at all. Anyway, back to this fact. Exodia was hard to win with. Let's go into the mathematics of it. Let's say you had brains and kept your deck to 40 cards because, of course, smaller decks boost your chance of drawing your best cards, right? Cool, life lesson for young me. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you can usually have 3 copies of the same card, so the chances of drawing the desired card in your first hand of a 40-card deck are 30.1%. Now, if you have 3 copies of each portion of Exodia, you will take up 15 cards out of a 40-card deck. So, the chances of drawing 1 card from the set in your opening hand are 91.9%, with the likelihood of drawing 5 Exodia cards being roughly 4%. So, the strategy here is simple. Spread Exodia across your deck and rely on the heart of the cards at all costs. Unfortunately, mathematics doesn't share our enthusiasm for the heart of the cards, or friendship actually. Boo. Boo maths. So, the 4% probability of acquiring a handful of Exodia pieces does not include multiples of the same card, so you could have like 3 left legs and 2 right arms. Yeah. Now, we all know we can't play 3 sets of Exodia legally. That deck will only ever see play in the streets. Did you know that Exodia The Forbidden One, along with its forbidden limbs, have kept the same status on the forbidden and limited lists longer than any other cards in the game? Yes, they've all been limited since the lists were started, which were in 1999 for the OCG and 2002 for the TCG. So, I guess you could say Exodia The Forbidden One, more like Exodia the Limited to 1. Am I right? So yeah, with the Forbidden and Limited list taken into account, let's go back into that last fact again. This implies that instead of taking 15 cards from a 40-card deck, Exodia only takes 5, reducing your chance of drawing an Exodia piece in your opening hand from a whopping 91.9% all the way down to 39%. So in a nutshell, with no heart of the cards, no mathematics on your side, you're pretty much screwed. Do you remember the free-to-play game Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Generation that came out in 2014? Yeah, well, when Exodia's victory condition is achieved, the winning player will declare either Exodia Finale or face the Unstoppable. I always thought that was really rad when that happened. In Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelist of the Roses game, did you know that Exodia had to be on the field in order to win? And it also came with an awesome animation if you won with it as well. That was so cool. Now, if you gather and unite the 5 Forbidden One cards, you will see that you can't actually see the complete Exodia body. This is, of course, because the 5 Forbidden One cards only reveal the head, hands, and feet. However, for your viewing pleasure and through the magic of Photoshop, I have brought that image to life for you. You're welcome, I guess. It's widely known that Yu-Gi-Oh! Frequently draws inspiration from Egyptian mythology. Do you know which aspect of Egyptian mythology Exodia is based on? The answer is Osiris. Osiris was a god in ancient Egypt who represented the afterlife, fertility, resurrection, and the yearly flooding of the Nile. Osiris was also the main judge of the underworld, responsible for deciding if the souls of the deceased were worthy of entering the afterlife. He was a very, very successful dude. Now, jealous of his reign, Osiris was betrayed by his envious brother Set and dismembered into multiple parts that were all spread across Egypt. Isis, who was Osiris's wife, reconstructed his body and restored him to life, in which she declared that she had assembled all 5 special cards, all 5 pieces of the puzzle. Set was in a state of sheer terror hearing this, and he gasped, "Osiris, it's not possible. No one has ever been able to call him." As he fears for his life, Isis yells out, "Osiris, obliterate!" And the rest is ancient Egypt. Okay, yeah, I might have made up that last part, but that was fun, right? That was fun. Did you know that there's a popular fan theory out there that Exodia is a god? Yes, God as in the Abrahamic deity Yahweh. Through the eyes of the Egyptian pharaohs, Exodia was seen as the being that created duel monsters. He's an unstoppable mythological creature with boundless strength, and he effortlessly dominates every other being in the game, thus his designation as an instant win monster. Now, this concept of limitless power that dominates all beings seems wrong for Egyptian paganism, as they worship many gods, but was ideal for a monotheistic religion that proclaimed its god's dominance over all others. In the game, he is referred to as the Forbidden One. This is because the pharaohs forbade worship of Yahweh, but they still feared the notion of an all-powerful god who may one day free the Hebrews from slavery. Also, Exodia's chains reflect the Hebrews' slavery, and his name refers to the book of Exodus, which recounts the Hebrews' liberation and Yahweh's vengeance against Egypt. Put simply, Exodia represents Hebrew enslavement and the victory of monotheism. But where do you stand on this theory? We all know Exodia's attack name nostalgically as Exodia Obliterate, but in the manga and Japanese anime, Exodia's attack is called Raging Hellfire Exod Flame. Anger's Inferno Exod Flame has also been used. Now, in the English uncut versions, Exodia's attack was also called something similar. It was called Hellfire's Rage Exodo Flame. Now, these all sound badass, but Exodia Obliterate will always be the one. Quiz time! Do you know what piece of Exodia we saw Yugi draw first in episode 1? Yes, it was the right leg of the Forbidden One. Interestingly, there was a mistake later in the episode. During the duel, after we saw him draw the right leg, we see Yugi's hand and that he has the left leg, the right leg, and the right arm. However, the mistake here is that the arm shown in his hand at this time should have been the left arm, since the next card we see him draw is the right arm. An extra bit of trivia on that first episode for you as well is that when Exodia is finally summoned at the end of the episode, the pentagram it emerges from in the English version has more points. Well, yes, this is to remove any religious undertones. Did you enjoy quiz time? Well, here's another one. Remember when Weevil hit douchebag levels of over 5 million by throwing Yugi's Exodia cards off the ship into the ocean? Yes, well, you'll also remember that Joey dove into the ocean to save those cards, but he only rescued 2 of the 5 pieces. Do you know which 2 pieces of Exodia that Joey managed to save? The answer is the left arm and the left leg of the Forbidden One. Sadly, Exodia is never used by Yugi again, but it appears in many flashbacks throughout the series, which are mainly Kaiba's trauma. Other than that, it is of course featured in both Battle City and the Dawn of the Duel arc. Now, did you know that Yugi actually had a chance to add it to his deck once again, but he chose not to? Yes, that's right. In episode 99 in the virtual reality arc, the head and the right leg of Exodia are seen when Yugi is choosing his deck against Gansley. In the English dub of the anime, the Exodia The Forbidden One card is simply nicknamed the Exodia Head. This is because the card's artwork is mostly a close-up of Exodia's head, and the full card name is basically a bit of a mouthful to say multiple times. Also, in the anime, when this card was forced into play, its form is only Exodia's head, which always looked really funny to me. Okay, I'm awful at accents, so apologies up front, but in the French dub, Exodia the Forbidden One was known as Exodia Le Maudit, which means Exodia the Cursed One. Okay, let's talk about anime and manga differences. In the manga, the head of Exodia was a level 7 monster, but in the anime and TCG, it is a level 3 card. As for the limbs, the arms and legs are all level 1 cards, but in the manga, the Forbidden One limbs are all level 2 cards. Bandai held the license for Yu-Gi-Oh! Briefly before Konami obtained the rights, and there are some really interesting differences between the two brand cards. In the case of Exodia, the Bandai version of this card is a level 8, whereas the Konami version is level 3. The Bandai version's flavor text was also pretty cool, as it read, "The 4 limb cards of this god were separated. By assembling the 5 pieces, he revives, and all enemies are obliterated instantaneously. Special rule, when the 5 different parts of Exodia are all in your hand, you are declared the winner at that exact moment." Exodia's card artwork is super iconic, but did you know that it has been drawn in various positions in every format that it has been released in? We have the OCG and TCG artworks, the Bandai version and its variants, the Dungeon Dice Monsters art is sick, and then there's the Duel Monsters 2 Dark Duel Stories art, which looks awesome as well. In all of Exodia's international card artwork, Spellbinding Circle is seen behind it and his limbs. This is to of course replace the pentagram that appears in the Japanese versions for censorship reasons, of course. Did you know that Exodia can be seen in other card artworks? Yes, Exodia appears in the artwork of Contract with Exodia and the Draw of Fate. As for Exodia the Forbidden One specifically, it appears in the artworks of Exchange and Damaging Hand. Then we have the limbs, which appear in the artwork of Big Win, as well as in the international artwork and older Japanese versions of Exchange. The effect of Exodia makes it one of the most godlike monsters in Duel Monsters. However, unlike other monsters, Exodia does not rely on attack and defense. Exodia, although granting an automatic victory, lacks attack and defense infinity. So when you add up all 5 pieces attack and defense points, you receive a total of 1,800 attack and 2,200 defense. Now, its bigger combined defense total always surprised me. Did you know that Exodia's complete form has 7 counterparts? Yes, they are Exodia Necros, Exodius the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, the legendary Exodia Incarnate, the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate, Exod the Master of the Guard, True Exodia, and Exodia the Legendary Defender. Did you also notice that Exodia Necros has the 1,800 attack that we mentioned in the last fact about the Exodia pieces combined total attack points? I always thought that was pretty cool. And that is 30 facts about Exodia the Forbidden One. But what about all the other cards in Yugi's Duelist Kingdom deck? Well, make sure to check out this video here to see 141 facts about the deck that made him the king of games. I'll see you over there. Peace, peace!